what we're talking about with this radio transmission device. Mm-hmm. What if you could just then go over and take over somebody else's body, like the body snatchers? Transmit yourself into their brain and take over. But of course, this requires ritual and opening of portals within the mind, and that's what all of these mystery schools and Freemasonry are about. And you will find that these Freemasons do come out looking pretty freaky after their experience around the altar. This is, one main piece of the puzzle that people aren't paying attention to. All your leaders do ritual inside of dark temples that have sarcophagus and strange hooded cloaks inside. I'm friends with the worshipful master here in town. I've seen his costumes. I know what goes on inside of there. And I'm trying to witness the effects of what happens to this poor sap as he goes through these rituals. But you can't get anywhere in our system today unless you have sworn at the altar of Masonry, and this is not just America. Okay, so for me, I believe that this is going to become much bigger. For Blue Beam to work, it has to be this dramatic event. So what we see are maybe like the Vatican taking the Temple Mount. My guess date is the 4th of July, and
this year?
Yeah. Well, I never know really the year because I'm looking at significant dates. Yeah. I'm not trying to channel information or anything. I have a hypothesis on how these events work. And I've managed to predict 9/11. I managed to predict 10/13. Now I'm seeing if my mathematics still work and my hypothesis will stay correct and predict the 4th of July for the Temple Mount. So when all of this starts to occur, the Holy War and weird Earth changes, the incoming Apophis, the strange supernova is sending radiation, the depletion of the magnetosphere, the comets hitting the sun, all of these things start to come together as all of the G20 nations are launching off into space. That's when Blue Beam becomes effective. That's when you bring in large V-shaped craft to hover over nations' capitals and make everybody stand in shock and awe. That's how you pull off a Blue Beam project, not by little spirals. Now the spiral is very curious in what message they were trying to send to Obama. Was this for Obama's attention or not, because he has been pushing this nuclear trigger so much, and it's believed Hannity did an expose on the fact that you can't do an expose on Obama, right? We still don't know who this guy is.
Yeah.
We were supposed to see court cases coming out, Orly Tates and all of that, trying to push for this disclosure on who the hell our president is. Barry Soetoro, Barry Dunham, when Hannity got this whole collection together and showed that most likely his thesis in college was disarmament of the Soviet Union. And of course he was writing this at the time when Reagan was putting up Star Wars.
Yeah.
So was this a message to Obama from the Russians saying, hey, we've got the cloud of care too, we can launch large aluminum oxide clouds and look what else we can do, we've got our ISCAT right there, and I don't know if Russia is connected to ISCAT. I know China, Japan.
Yeah,
do you know?
Officially, not Russia anyway. There's the UK have. I read something about the percentage of access to the heating facility at least, and there was UK had about 22, Norway had about 11, Sweden 11 too, about 11 also, and then I think it was distributed to. Some sources say Germany, some sources say China. China is in there or not in some cases, and Japan. I think those are the countries that I've read about that have access.
Right.
Yeah.
So we don't see a connection there. That's the confusing part about this Norway spiral.
Yes, absolutely. What about if we talk a little bit more about the just this very interesting idea in terms of rituals for the elite? Do you think then that could be the purpose for hosting entities, walk-ins, that it's some kind of almost, if you will, then soul transfer taking place there. That you have they're opening up to this ancient ritual and opening themselves up to that for something else to come in, to walk in. So in one sense, the elite leaders of our world are not human. They might appear so on the surface again, then, but internally, it's something else there. What do you think about that, Freeman?
I think that is exactly what they say these rituals are for. They definitely speak of bringing down and calling down angelic beings or other entities. When you start getting into deeper high magic, into ritual magic, you know that this is exactly what the ritual is for, that you're calling upon particular entities to bring in that force into yourself so that you can then use this. So the ideas of high ritual magic are very much that very thing. That is the purpose. Then we got to wonder when they're putting it out on the large scale, on the screen or on stage, such as the VMA Awards with Lady Gaga, or the one that I covered with Anna Nicole or with Madonna and Britney. These high-profile rituals, is that opening things in us as we witness these rituals? I don't know. Yes. I don't know if that's the case, but they are very strange. And because these characters that we're seeing in these type of high-profile rituals, such as Lady Gaga, she did not work her way to the top, They are planted right in front of us, yes. and they're horrible. And then they all, I'm sorry, but
I agree.
No, you're sucks. Right. Yep. And you couple this with, she's working with James Cameron, or the Disney connections, of course, with Britney, Madonna, and all the rest with Disney and
Miley Cyrus and whatever else. Yeah.
Yeah. And now we've got Lady Gaga and Hannah Montana meeting the Queen.
Yes, exactly. You're just going to point that out. What is that all about, you think?
Well, it took me some time to come around to really accepting this whole concept. But like I say, you watch that Tell Evil Zion video and you see the constant shifting of these Fox and CNN reporters into reptilian beings, not to mention the Bushes, Jenna Bush and George Bush, and then one of my favorites, Bill Maher, to watch him transform into a reptilian after laughing at David Icke. That's a classic. So you get to see all of these type of things, and you got to begin to question. You got to begin to wonder. You start to see the old cartoons in the story that they continually put out there. This story has been around forever. Like I say, it goes back to the ancient emerald tablets of Thoth. It goes back into our ancient Egyptian past. It's Apophis. It's all this connections. We have to start to wonder, how real is our reality? Because everything that has happened has been programmed into us, and the events that have occurred are lies. The Boston Tea Party in America was not to separate the U.S. from England. It just wasn't the case. It was a bunch of Freemasons coming out, causing a stir, so that they can then go to war, just like any other false flag event. What we find...
There was. I just want to correct that. That was the culmination, or rather, the beginning of what Ralph Epperson calls the secret destiny of America. That they wanted to use the U.S. for a particular purpose. Some have said that it's the fist, if you will, of the New World Order, the one who's gonna stamp out certain nations and set certain things in motion. But now, as you pointed out in the first hour, Freeman, that it seems also then that the purpose for America, the American experiment, is over from their point of view. In their eyes, they've say, no, let's not have that anymore. Now we've done and finished with that. Now it's time for the next process to come in, right, Freeman?
Well, this has always been a process of the great work, and you can find that in Manly P. Hall's Secret Destiny of America when he speaks of the Order of the Quest in very glorifying terms about how they had come to America to set up their new Atlantis.
Yes.
Now, the whole thing was, and then, of course, now we've opened Atlantis in Dubai. We've got these 21st century capitals in Astana, and we have, the Atlantis in Bahamas. we see the new Atlantis forming. We look at the Columbia endeavor for the discovery of Atlantis, the name of our space shuttles. Right? We look at the fact that it was an Atlas rocket, who is the king of Atlantis, that launched the Alice spectrometer to watch the bombing of the moon. And then you find that the Large Hadron Colliders are named Atlas and Alice.
Yes.
I think WISE even has an Alice spectrogram on it. But we constantly see the Atlantean symbolism all over the globe through these national corporations.